Hello and welcome to Analyst Hangout. I am Perpetual Fashion Repeater. Well, today I'll be joined by two to three analysts. Well, I have one right there with me in the studio. He goes by the name Frank Omolape, Senior Business Reporter. Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you. It's good to be here on the set with you, Perpetual.
Absolutely.
Well, even though, of course, you are introducing me as analyst now, but because... Of course, I will speak from the perspective of a business editor and a business anchor.
Definitely. Yeah. All right, and virtually we are joined by Muyiwa Adeyemi.
Muyiwa Adeyemi.
All right, Muyiwa Adeyemi joins us virtually. He is the Managing Director, Atlas Portfolios Limited. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to have you on board, Muyiwa.
It's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure being here.
All right, and later on the show, we'll be joined by Alhaji Kurufi Garuba, the MD, APT Securities and Funds Limited. Well, of course, we'll start with a review of activities during the week. And I'd like to start with you for what happened today. But let's just do a quick rundown of what happened today. Now, the Nigerian equities market saw a further decline today as the NGX All-Share Index lost 1.2% to settle at 51,778.08 points from 51,943.76, which was recorded on Thursday. Now, in the same manner, the market capitalization dropped in value, losing a whopping 1 trillion naira. That's a lot of money being lost, you know. Now, the total volume traded on the floor of the exchange rose above 233.8 million units of shares and valued at 3.6 billion naira in about 4,964 deals. On the gainers list, livestock gained 9 kobo to close at 1 naira 56 kobo. Now, this was followed by Living Trust and Mutual Benefit Assurance, which gained 6 kobo and 1 kobo to close at 1 naira 20 kobo and 25 kobo, respectively. Now, Bua Foods and XJS Group also moved northward with 1 naira 25 kobo and 45 kobo increase to close at 55 naira and 24 naira 45 kobo each. On the other hand, Mark Nichols led the losers chart with a decline of 9.76% to close at 1 naira 85 kobo, as Adova lost 9.70% to close at 13 naira 50 kobo. Shares of international breweries and Cortville, including ETI, followed suit, losing 9.42%, 9.26%, and 8.6% to close at 6 naira 25 kobo, 49 kobo, and 10 naira 10 kobo, respectively. I'd like to start with you. Give us an overview of what happened today at the market. Help us understand the figures.
Well, I think from what I've seen so far, if you look at the position of the market or the outcome of the market today is just a reflection of the bearish sentiment that greeted the market since the beginning of the week. So if you look at this week so far, for instance, today we lost about 1.2%. Yesterday was about 0.64%. You have on Wednesday, market also lost as well. So we've seen this trend being witnessed in the market all through the week. And so the same thing continues today. And so most of the feedback we're getting from most analysts in the market and operators is the fact that investors are trying to find their feet to take profit and then sit back a little bit and see where they can also put this money back in terms of, and that's why it is very, very critical in terms of investment knowledge. You need to understand the dynamics in the market. You need to know when to exit the market. You need to know when it is time for profit taking. You need to know when it is time to take position in a particular stock. I think that's what we've seen so far since the beginning of the year. And what today is not any different. All
right. Thank you so much. Well, I think we are also being joined by Alhaji Kurufi Garuba, the MD, APT Securities and Funds Limited. Hello, Alhaji. Good to have you join us today.
Yes, happy to be with you. Thank you.
All right. Now, we see a lot of portfolio readjustments and repositioning, looking at what's been happening this week. Now, Alhaji, tell us, why is this so?
Well, it's normally, we are coming to the end of the quarter, half-year quarter. Most of the portfolio managers, they want to do adjustment because they want to...
Alhaji, can you hear me now? Okay, so he was talking about what's happening while we see a lot of portfolio readjustments and repositioning. And I think that aligns with what you were saying, that a lot of the investors are sitting back. They are looking at how should they structure their portfolios, what are the things they should go for, things like that. I think we have Alhaji. Alhaji, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, please go ahead.
So because of the end of the half year, most of the portfolios managers want to do readjustment. I remember we have private equity who also want to do the adjustment to align with the promise they undertake for their fund. That is one. Secondly, because of the changes in the prices of the stocks, some they won't take advantage. I can tell you for the whole last year, we have not had Zenith trading at the current price or GT at the current price. So this gives opportunity for the institutional investors to take a good position. And this is what they are doing. We are calling them realignment and try to take a good position, waiting for the happier result and the outcomes.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. Well, Muyiwa, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly. I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, Olumuyiwa, now we're looking at how, for you, I would like you to tell us how the market is reacting to the recent, rate hike, both in Nigeria. And also we see that the US Fed's, the 75 points rate hike that they also did. And that a lot of persons have described as the most aggressive since 1994 in the global market. Now, tell us, how are investors reacting to, these numbers?
Okay, thank you very much, Petra. For me, the market is doing what it should actually be doing. There is nobody that does not want a better return. And so what we have been seeing now is we're seeing so much the inflation rate here in our local market is just too high. As our last check, it was 70.71. And so you see investors, we position themselves into better markets, better opportunities. So we're seeing them sell down and they're probably playing the foreign market. And it's what you and I will do. And unfortunately, I had mentioned this 2 weeks ago when we had this discussion. I said market was going to come down. I think it's still going to come down further. In some quarters that I also hang out, I tell you, GT Zenith at this price might just be the start of it.
Okay, I think we lost our connection with him there. Alhaji, I'd like you to come in here. Muyiwa was talking about something, and I would like you to butt in, how do you think the market is reacting to the recent rate hike in Nigeria? That's for the lending rate, and also we also saw the US Fed 75 points rate hike, which a lot of persons have described as the most aggressive since 1994. So Alhaji, tell us, how is the market reacting to this?
Well, the market is reacting by selling most equity moving into the fixed income. And that's what we witnessed in the last week. We are in negative, and this week we are in the negative returns. And it shows you that people are selling, want to go to the peaks where they are guaranteed and assured of their returns. And this is what is affecting the market. And this is likely going to continue and so reach a bottom line that...
Okay, Alhaji, can you hear me now?
I can hear you louder.
All right, please go ahead. Alhaji,
going down.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
The market is going down because of what the increase of the rate. It make movement of the money market into the fixed income. So people are selling more of their equity, try to go to the fixed income where they are sure and certain of the return. And that is what is affecting our market.
All right. Thank you, Alhaji, for that. I don't know if you would like to say
let me
anything.
also. I think
Yeah.
I would like also Alhaji to Mr. Kofi to talk about the fact that the relationship between inflation rate, because as of today inflation rate has gone up to about 17.1%.
Okay, we're coming to inflation. I want us
Yeah.
to finish this before we get
Yes,
there.
that's exactly what I'm about saying, because the concept is that once inflation is going up, because Alhaji was talking about the fact that funds flow into the fixed income market because people need to protect their funds, against losses, and of course the value of their also investment is very critical. So the relationship between inflation rate and then of course going into fixed income market, maybe Alhaji need to look at it. So it's also very, very critical, because the concept is that once inflation rate rises, that people are going to be looking away from fixed income. But now the inflation rate that we have at the moment is 17.78%, 17.1% or so, or 17.71%.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
the headline inflation. So maybe Alhaji need to explain to us how that is working out, whether this concept is true here.
All right, thank you. Now, moving on to the next conversation, Nigeria's inflation rose to its highest level in 11 months, rising from 16.82% recorded in April 2022 to 17.71%. Now, this is according to the recently released Consumer Price Index report released by the National Bureau of Statistics. The Consumer Price Index, which measures the rate of inflation, rose to 17.71% year-on-year in May 2022. This is 0.89 percentage points higher than the 16.82% recorded in April 2022. Now, on a month-on-month basis, the headline index increased by 1.78% in May compared to the 1.76% increase recorded in the previous month. And this is a point where I definitely want Alhaji to come in. Alhaji, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. The truth of the matter, there is a relationship between the inflation rising and the capital market. Globally today, except the Nigerian market and London exchange, all the index were in negatives. And they were returned in negative because of the inflation across the world. Why our market is different is because of the alternative. People go to the fixed income because that is the only market can accommodate trillions of naira. If you push 1 trillion to equity market, we don't have that depthness. So they have to go to the fixed income. They have no choice because there is no dollar to buy, because the only safer is to hold asset or to hold foreign exchange. And neither of these is available. That is why our market is rising, because that is the alternative. Whoever keep cash lost money. But they have to look at where is the saving ground. Fixed income give you a minimum return, and certain percent is good enough to take care of this, and that's what they were doing. So our market is different because you don't have alternative. And most of the institutions, investors like pension fund, they are washed with trillions of naira. And they have nowhere to invest except to go to the fixed income. They are always scared of the capital market because of the loss that can keep them at a certain point. That is why our market is different from the other market. And still, if you look at it, our returns, now we are talking of 23%. That is ahead of the inflation. So that is where people should have gone.
All right, thank you, Alhaji.
To get against the inflation.
Okay, would that be all, Alhaji, or you still want to say more?
Well, that's what I can say for the inflation.
All right, thank you so much. I heard, Olumide, you are responding in the affirmative. I'd like you to tell us what your thoughts are.
Well, thank you, Perpetual. The fact that the return you can get in the local market is going to be lower than what you get in other alternative markets, of course. So it shows why we are seeing the trend we currently have been seeing. And like I said earlier on, this trend will definitely continue, no matter what portfolio managers want to do. You don't stand in front of the moving train, and you don't also set your hand to catch a dropping knife. The market is coming down because we have investors leave the market that is seen as not very lucrative now for a better market. it will get to a certain point when that would also turn around, but not, I don't see it turning around very quickly.
All right, thank you, Olumuyiwa. Well, let's have
let me also talk about what Mr. Olumuyiwa. Yes, that is very true. But again, if you look at it, there's also a saying that sell in May,
buy
and then
September.
Of course buy in October and all of that.
Okay.
Yes. In as much as people are trying to look at where to put their funds to save against devaluation or losing their investment as well, it's also very important for investors to start looking at which of these sectors. You look at from oil sector to insurance to consumer goods. I follow consumer goods in the recent times, and I discovered that yes, and of course the oil sector as well, even though every other sector is declining and being affected, they also have advantage because there's a demand. People want to eat. For instance, people who play in the consumer goods like Okomo oil, the Boa, Presco, and all of that. People still want to patronize, even though, of course, the market is down. And so that's why it is very important to get investment education to look at, okay, which of these sectors can I invest these funds? So which of this company can actually fundamentally just look at, okay, who has paid dividend, how much did they pay, or did they declare? So if you look at all the companies that have that have done their markdown and all of that, you look at their numbers, their asset, their earning per share, their earning per share, and their dividend, and then you can use that number to make investment decisions. So why it's very important to trade cautiously in this period or in this bearish time. You also need to understand which sectors or which company can I invest in. I think that's very key.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your thoughts on that one.
Just to add to what Oga has said there.
Yeah, Frank.
Frank. Yeah. Frank.
Okay.
So what Frank has said, it's we also see spikes, no matter how bad the market is.
Yeah.
My own objective for being in the market is going to definitely be different from what your own objective in the market will be. So while I feel I should wait another 1 month, I should wait till October, some people see the opportunity to buy the quantity they want to buy while it's coming down, and gradually they amass that. So we'll be seeing spikes. I saw a spike in UAC today, for example. On the negative, I saw a major drop in the international breweries. At some point, it was an offer of about 4 million. I think market closed with that. So we'll not also lose fact that we'll be seeing spikes while the market is still coming down. It's just an addition to what Frank had said.
All right, thank you so much.
Ooh. NEPA has done what they...
that's one of the, one of the norms that you see. It's all right. It's okay.
All right, well, that happens. Okay, now we're talking about Dangote Cement purchasing 0.98% shares in buyback program. Now, the chairman of Dangote Cement PLC, that's Aliko Dangote, on Tuesday, June 14, in Lagos, talked about the company completing the second tranche of its buyback program in January this year, following which it has now repurchased 0.98% of its outstanding shares, in what he says reflects an unwavering commitment to creating value and identifying opportunities to return cash to shareholders. Now, in his review of the group's performance at the 13th annual general meeting in Lagos, he recalled that over the last decade, Dangote Cement has recorded exponential growth across all areas. Now, before we move on to the earnings season, I want us to just take a moment to appreciate what's happening. Well, when I say appreciate, I do not mean to appreciate like say, okay, this is good, but of course to just review what this news is all about. Now, I believe there are people who do not know about the buyback program. Now, I would like you, Alhaji, to tell us one or two things about this and what necessitated this move. Alhaji. Okay, I guess, okay. Olumuyiwa, can you hear me? Olumuyiwa, can you hear me? All right, okay. I think at this point we'll take a break. And
yes, choose to, instead of dispensing that cash as dividend to you, but is buying back the share to reduce the floating shares in the market. What it means, indirectly enhancing your value. Remember when Dangote started buying back, it was trading below 140 naira. Today, it is trading 260 naira. So you can see it almost doubled the value. If you look at the quantity he bought now, he bought less than 5%. But look at how the price will. Had it been he choose to do buyback this year, I can tell you by next year, it will not be trading below 300 naira. So it is a good way for the investors to know that when there is buyback, hold their shares. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate you will be better and your value will enhance much better than what was it before the buyback. That is one. Two, this can only happen to the bank and to the company that is worth its liquidity, cash. If you look at the reserve, they have over 700 million cash. And that is why they are doing what they are doing. But I don't think this will continue. Because the truth of the matter, if you look at the system, the refinery, they need a lot of billions. So why don't they pay them some dividends so that he has much money to invest in the refinery or fertilizer, which will in the very near future will start yielding money, even in foreign exchange that will add value to the whole group. So I don't think the buyback will continue. But had it been is going to continue, my advice to the investor, hold on to your shares. Any company that buy back is reducing the floating shares and enhancing your value.
All right, thank you so much. I was even going to ask you that last question, but of course you already answered. You said they should hold their shares. But let's take Olumuyiwa's thoughts. Olumuyiwa, what do you have to say about this?
Yes, like Alhaji had said, Dangote has done pretty well. For me, putting Dangote on a sell list now is like doing like shooting myself in the foot. And for the owner of the business to increase what he has, I tell you, it speaks volume. It's like we've gone to the kitchen and you have made a meal and you are eating it. You're enjoying your meal. That will also make other people want to partake out of it. And like Alhaji had mentioned, the company is currently awash with so much funds right now, so much cash. And then why not? Why not enhance and keep more shares, believing that the company will do better into the future? But like Alhaji also said, it's not going to be for too long. You can see it just comes, and he has done it very discreetly. Again, discreetly. It's not as if it was made very public like the first initial one. This is the quiet way of getting it done. And I don't think we'll see more than one more, and then he hands off to do other things.
All right,
that's just my position. Yeah, that's my position. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Olumuyiwa. Well, just before we go on a break, let's...
I think, Dangote Group, of course, that I know, they've been consistent with growth in recent time. Over the years, and you can't take it away from them in terms of when to re-strategize. I think buyback is one of their strategies they actually deployed in recent time to ensure that they increase the value of the shares. But then again, you need to look at what are they looking at. Yes, we'll talk about the fertilizer plant that is ongoing and some other project that they have. They know what they want to do. But again, I think they also need to look at which market or where to really invest in now. Look at the African continent. Yes, I know in recent times they look at they've extended and they've expanded and look into other African market as well. But again, I think the area we're supposed to be talking about, maybe of course they might look at that in the nearest future, is about meeting demand locally in terms of food. Well, at the moment we're talking about the Ukrainian war impact on Nigeria. That has created a supply gap in terms of wheat and all of that. So apart from increasing their value, I think diversification it's also necessary, given the needs that is there. But of course, who am I to advise them to do that? But of course, they have.
But of course, you can always advise the investors, the shareholders.
Well, as a journalist, I will also perhaps analyze from the angle of someone who watch business and also look at the investment climate in Nigeria, the needs and how to come in when it is necessary, when, of course, specifically the area of needs and providing solutions to those needs.
All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts on that one. Well, we'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to the recently published results of select companies. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.